lots are much smaller. They're all very uniform, kind of like the inside of our neighborhood, very uniform. But here they're not. Some of them are huge lots. Some of them are almost half the size of the property you're developing. 24,000 for some of the lots, really big.
Yeah, that's like the reason I bought my lot was because
Yep.
it was so huge.
Yep, and the overall density of the community is something that we desire to maintain. So I just know that, in summary, I think most of us would agree that's part of our concern, is the overall density of 36 units.
So many. So many.
And when I look at it, I mean, I understand that the way you crunch numbers are different than me. But I try and look for the need basis, and I don't see the logic behind it. I understand filling it up, but right now when I look at what CareNet has, but when I look at the primary purpose of building this, which is a place for the girls to go after their in-house residency, and to continue on this good trajectory in life, that we love CareNet. Everyone loves CareNet. If you could ask anyone in the residents here, what would you prefer? They would probably all say, build another CareNet, right? And because CareNet does some great things. CareNet on the ground floor provides great community service. We all know that. It also provides, I assume, some pretty well-paying and stable jobs. So I assume everyone's not a volunteer. But
long-term employment.
The stable, so good economic development, long-term positive economic development, is great for the neighborhood, and without changing the density in an indelible way that the character of our neighborhood is lost. I mean, you can see we all showed up.
Why would you think it would be lost?
The sheer density, the volume of people. So I can tell you, part of the reason I moved here 6 years ago, and when I was looking, I don't make much money. I'm actually below the median Madison income. There was very few places that I could move in town where I could have a big property, and I could have a quiet neighborhood. And what I thought was really unique when I came here, I was very cautious in finding a place. Our neighborhood it functions with this commercial property almost nicer to me than what a lot of other residential neighborhoods do. And the reason being is that most of us are working stiffs, and we go to work during the day. And when we go to work during the day, they all show up, and same with the CLA, and same with the Vinery, and same with Tires Plus. So we leave, and it's like this shift of the neighborhood with the time of the day. So they come in, when I'm away from my house, I've got a neighbor looking out for me. I've got CareNet who's going to notice, like, hey, what's the weird car hauling furniture out of Hilton's house? That doesn't look like Hilton, And when CareNet's gone for the evening, I'm home. So this neighborhood, the character and the nature of it is that at 5 p.m. and on the weekends, it is an extremely low density, very quiet, awesome neighborhood, right? It's beautiful. We've got a great community. We've got great neighbors who all showed up in 48 hours notice because we're concerned with the density of what may permanently change the character and the feel when a lot of us don't feel there's a need for that density. And I hope that logic at least makes sense from our perspective.
More comings, more goings, more people when it's a quiet neighborhood.
For
I'm
example,
very concerned about the density.
And there's only one street out.
if you built another CareNet, we wouldn't have to worry about getting woken up at 2 in the morning because there's more permanent residents who live here all day long. The higher density, right? The things that change the quality of life and the character of the neighborhood.
I got a question. CareNet is going to be the sole owner of this new building? Let's say down the line, X amount of years, they don't want that building anymore. Can they sell it?
They could sell, because of the tax credits, that would be part of it.
So they can sell it to anybody they want. Is that right?
After 15 years.
So they can sell it after 15 years
Correct.
to anybody they want.
Yes. After
And that person can rent them apartments out to anybody he wants. Right?
There'd be a land use restriction that would go for the full 30 years. The project could be sold after 15 years to a different owner, but that new owner would have to keep in place the income restrictions and the general structure of who's allowed in that building for a full 30 years. So there'd be a 30-year kind of land use restriction on what that property can be used for. But a new owner could come in after 15 years, yes.
And the
one have to be abided
For another
30 years.
15, and after that, he can rent to anyone he wants. And that's another way to get an apartment building in here. After 30 years, anybody can rent.
Well, and we'll have to always keep in mind that there are federal fair housing laws where, you know, when you're gonna rent property, you know, you have to legally, there are fair housing laws that basically are what you have to abide by when you're leasing to people. So whoever comes in and owns the property has to abide by fair housing laws, so they.
Are you talking about up to the 30-year period or any
Oh,
time?
anytime.
Yeah, I've seen what some of these, down here, what some of the things that have gone on in the 48 years I've lived around here.
So would your preference as a neighborhood then be that we sold the property, took a little bit of, you know, the gain from that and sold it to a commercial? Because CareNet doesn't have the resources, apart from the tax credits and so forth, to do a project. So, I mean.
Why does it
with-
need to be 36 units though? Why can't you still do it and do it with 16 units?
That's what makes the math work to create a revenue source back to CareNet, and that's not even in very much in the beginning years. Because of the reduced rents with the county median.
So that's
income.
the reason of 36 units, not because there's a need for 36
No,
units.
the
The
preliminary-
need is the revenue off the 36
Well,
units.
and the preliminary market study showing the need.
Yeah, there's a lot of demand.
There's a lot of demand.
You'd
Well,
be
that-
anticipating 90% occupancy probably.
For
Would you
new
say-
mothers, a lot of
I'd say,
demand from
I'd say
schools.
okay, fine.
This is extremely important, okay? Keep in mind that this is an affordable housing project. This is for the guy that's maybe making $12, $13 an hour, driving a truck. He's 25, 35, 40, it doesn't matter what age you are. But somebody that's making $13 an hour, $26,000 a year, that needs a place to live and yet is productive in society. This isn't a place where, you know, there are housing operations for people that don't have any money, okay? Those are different programs. That isn't what this project's about. So this is for people that are really trying to move up into their life, and maybe will be your neighbor for quite a while. And I encourage you to go look at Sherman Glen behind the former M&I next to Maple Bluff Country Club. Encourage you to go look at Yahara River, go look at Ingersoll, go look at the new project on Johnson Street. These are affordable housing projects with good people, good neighbors that want to be here and be your neighbor. These aren't people that are gonna come and give you problems.
Mark, I don't know if you realize, but we're a lot of those same people.
Sure.
I mean, we are those people.
Sure.
You know, that, like I said, I moved here, I bought a house, actually similar to you. I bought a house that was near condemned. His house had no copper tubings in it.
You had nothing.
Right, we had to get
Those were
special
smashed
construction
out.
loans because we're working stiffs who make
The
that
brown
amount of
one?
money.
Yeah.
Right, and we get that, and we love the idea of what CareNet is. But I feel that we're also entitled to maintain the character, the quality of life that we're accustomed to in our neighborhood. And I wish the numbers would work for you at a lower amount, because we'd all be jumping on board. If you said, you know what, we need 6 units for our girls, and we need 6 more units to make it economically feasible for us, we would all be saying, great, let's do it, and let's do it today, and we're 100%, we want this to happen in our community. And I hope you can understand that, you know, the reasons we moved here are the reasons we want to protect the character, the density, the feel of this neighborhood.
And we all know we want people that are trying to improve themselves, that are good people. That's what we want for neighbors. The problem becomes when you have high density, problems start occurring. And we know that. The high density areas, there's problems. So you did say something about having a study on density or information about density in the beginning?
Well, number one, from a density standpoint, from a housing standpoint, with regards to the city of Madison, this is an allowable use with regards to number of units, bedroom units, et cetera, however you want to break it down. So within the guidelines of the city of Madison, from a planning standpoint, it meets that. With regards to the question, I'm sorry, one more time?
You had said that you had information about the density. I didn't know if it
as
was
far
a
as needs?
study. I didn't know if it was a study or needs. You just said, you mentioned
There's
density.
a market study, there's people out there that, like Baker Tilly and Grant Thornton, and people that put professional market studies together. And it's a market study that's required by WIDA, as the applicant has to put that information together and pay for that, to make sure that there's enough people out here in this area, or if it was on the north side or the west side, south side, that meet the qualifications for this type of housing. Otherwise, WIDA looks at it and says, no, there's not enough people, we're not gonna allow this to happen.
So it's a need,
It's a
density,
huge
yeah.
need. There's
I mean, it's
huge
a
need.
density need.
Yeah,
is
Madison's
the-
at like 98% occupancy. We need more housing in general, and we need more affordable housing.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people
Definitely.
that don't, there's a lot of people that don't want a house.
We 100% need it,
You know, there's a lot of people that don't wanna live in
Yeah.
a house.
but we
Lots
don't
to
want
take
the
care of.
density.
A lot of people that
We
have a
want
business
affordable
owner, that's
housing.
just my-
We all want affordable
That's
housing.
just my opinion.
We don't want the density to change our neighborhood forever.
Yeah.
The character, the feel. And we understand that there may be a need based.
Is there any other questions? Otherwise, I think we're gonna wrap up by 5:00.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm her neighborhood vice president, and we have a meeting quarterly. And our next meeting is the second Wednesday in January. Would you be willing to come and present this at our meeting so the rest of the neighbors know what's going on?
Actually, Kay, can I interject there? I would
Yeah.
like to request, actually, Joe, that we put on a meeting much earlier than that. I don't want to wait till that late. I would like, actually, hopefully within the next 2 weeks, I'd like to try and get together. I think it's enough time that we can get people organized. And I'd like to have another meeting where more than 48 hours, so people have a chance to actually come. I know there was a lot of people who wanted to and just didn't have the capability in this
Yeah.
amount of time.
Couple things, and we've got 3 of the 4 neighborhood association officers here. How do you feel about that? You wanna have a special meeting, or your regular meeting, or what? 'Cause I can do whatever you want.
Somebody would have to notify them, because our newsletter
Why, I
doesn't
would
come out
take care of
until
that,
December
yeah.
31st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question. If, even if we have a meeting, is this a done deal? I mean, even if the neighborhood objects, you're still going through with it, aren't you? I mean, if the neighborhood objects, you're not going to stop this project, are you?
She was
there's a
talking
process.
about, yeah, there's a
Follow the
process.
Meeting on January 14th would be the decision.
Okay.
So there would be time perhaps, before that for another meeting to get some input and present the project to a broader group of people.
Can I twist that question in a little bit different way? I'm hearing a little bit of an impasse, right? I'm hearing that you have to have 36 units. Is that an absolute must? Is there any wiggle room on your density and your numbers? I haven't seen your numbers. I don't know how things work. I don't know the whole WIDA process. I don't know what's required. Is there any room to move on that? And I understand that comes out of your profitability. I understand what that does to you. But it also, we're at 2 ends of the spectrum now. If you want 36, and most of us are saying that's way too high.
Way too high.
So we'd like to work with you if we can. We would like to see if there's ways to make this work for you, because we all love CareNet. We want to support CareNet. Right? But we're at opposite ends of the spectrum on the density.
Is there a plan B if this wouldn't be accepted by the commission? Do you have a plan B?
That hasn't been discussed.
No? Okay.
So if for chance the planning commission said they didn't want to give you a conditional use permit, you could come and put all commercial on the ground floor and still put 36 units above it, correct? Because then you wouldn't need the,
There's another trigger, I think it's 50% of the space has to be commercial also.
okay.
So it would be probably not a 36 unit.
And that would probably not work for your numbers either.
If I set up a meeting, would you want to have it before Christmas or after Christmas? I think that's a big question here.
Before.
Just with the holidays, that people,
Before,
Before,
you would.
please.
yes.
You feel you get the neighborhood out here, people wouldn't have other, okay.
So where will you set it up at, Joe? Will it still be at Murphy's? Because we'll have to see if it's available.
Well, I'll do a mailing, I'll notify everybody. I was thinking having it at the bank on the corner
Oh,
of
okay.
Mendota and East
Okay.
Wash.
Okay.
We've had meetings there before.
Great.
Or
Would
the
that be
high,
okay?
the Hy-Vee boating
No,
room
I
is
think-
good
thank you
too.
for us.
We've been considering changing it from Murphy's anyway.
Mhm.
I think more people might come if we,
I'll have city staff check into what's available.
Okay.
That's part of it, you gotta see what's available.
okay.
One quick question, and you talked about the 36 apartments. How many three-bedroom, how many two-bedroom, how many one-bedroom? Please.
There are 8 3-bedrooms,
Uh-huh,
14 twos, and 14 ones.
okay. Okay, thank you.
It's a pretty good, it's a
Mhm.
fairly evenly
Yeah.
distributed mix.
Are they all one bath, or do the 3-bedroom get 2 bath?
The 3s have 2 baths.
And the rest are 1 or 1.5?
I'm sorry?
Are the rest 1 bath or 1.5 bath?
That's a combination.
Okay.
Yeah, just double check.
Like a two-bedroom has a full bathroom with a tub, and the other bathroom has a shower unit.
Okay,
Okay.
that's good. I like to hear that, because that really is working for a family unit. Do you have the overall square footage, the average square footage for a 1, 2, and 3-bedroom?
Yeah. The 1-bedrooms are between 700 and 800 square feet. The 2-bedrooms are around 900 square feet.
Okay.
And the 3s, I wanna say the 3s are about 11 to 1,200 square feet. I'll double check that though.
It's as big as my house.
Will,
That's good.
will pets be allowed? Because usually apartment buildings that allow pets, every single person has a pet, at least in my experience.
Well,
Like,
we
because
have-
not all of them allow pets, so you gotta find the ones that do, and people that don't have pets don't like pets a lot of the time, so they don't move into apartments that allow pets. So if all 36 units have a dog,
How you structure your lease.
So it's not ruled out.
I mean, I hope I'm not, my look didn't
Offend anybody.
Don't offend me. You know I've got 4 dogs. You see me playing with them all the time in your yard.
Oh, I know.
No, I hope it doesn't allow pets. 36 units and 45 pets would be even more density.
And with the green space for some children, I just don't think that's the way to go.
Can I get to one other? We haven't talked about something else that came out on the mailer, which is that there's going to be childcare facilities here. So can you tell us a little bit about those? Are those just for the residents? Are those available? We've got a lot of young children in our neighborhood. So, how big is that going to be? How many children? Is that going to be completely filled by the people who are there and have no?
What we are looking at, but nothing has been solidified, of course, is just a zero, infant 6 weeks to age 2.
Okay.
A smaller.
So it's
not a
mainly for your
full-
residents who are going to move over there.
Not a full. My thought is, as a single mother, when you are working at an entry-level job, how wonderful to be able to walk your baby downstairs and be in a wonderful daycare versus, taking the bus one day to take your child to a daycare and transferring to go to your job.
It's actually very
Nice.
similar to the young, I mean, that was a concern here, is that was a very positive thing that I know they looked at and said, well, gosh, if there's room for me to bring my kids there, and a normal child daycare, what we think of, right, up to like 7 or 8, or I don't know how, 6 or 7, I don't know what child, I don't have kids. I have dogs, I don't know.
All
But you know
right.
what I mean, where people could actually, in the neighborhood, could drop their kids off on the way to work and pick them up. But it sounds like that's not,
Yeah, only up to age.
okay.
But it would be open to the public, not just to, yeah.
How many children, how big would it be?
It's a 2,100 square foot daycare, so
2 rooms.
Between 20 and 25.
Okay.
I thought-
Thank you.
I thought 2 rooms on the plan and.
they're 20 to 25 people.
Thank you.
Back to a meeting date, what day of the week works best for people? Any idea?
if it's at this time, any day.
Yeah, I think, anytime after 4:30 or 5 is probably best to get most of us working folks to be able to show up to it.
I try to do it like 6 o'clock or something.
Usually
Yeah.
6 or 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
later than 7.
Yeah.
I would say
But
not,
Any particular day of the week?
not Friday, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
I guess, yeah, it doesn't matter. I have class on Mondays, but
Tuesday,
I'll
Wednesday,
probably try
Thursday.
for Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay,
I gotta
sounds
see
good.
what's available. And I will notify everybody. You'll get an official from the city.
Now, will you do the entire neighborhood?
That was my next question. That card I sent out, sorry about the wrong phone number. I sent that to MacArthur Road, MacArthur Road, Court, Larson Court, and all the Sycamore. I thought that was the main traffic. I can go around the Mendota side if you want. I mean, what do you feel? Doesn't matter to me.
Totally up to the
Yeah.
neighborhood and Alder. I mean, the city can
I think
generate
they would be
a list
impacted.
of labels
I-
that
I
the
could
council
invite the
office
whole
sends
list.
out.
I think of it as a level of impact. I think of it as in actually 5 zones. The first zone is the neighbors that abut the property.
Yeah.
The second zone is everyone on MacArthur. The third zone is everyone MacArthur and Sycamore, the traffic pattern.
Right.
The fourth zone is all of our neighborhood, and the fifth zone is the city.
So I say.
So I think through the fourth zone is people who are impacted enough that they would want to know more details
Well,
about
that's what I
this.
did with the mailing. I tried to,
Yeah, but I think the internal roads to Linden and Juniper
on the
and
Mendota Street.
Yes,
side.
on the
Yes, the
Mendota
Mendota
side.
Street side, yep.
They're gonna be impacted if the traffic is bad.
Where's Linden?
Oh, not Linden, Juniper, sorry. Another one of those trees.
You were close, Eldon.
Juniper, yeah.
I think we need to include our whole neighborhood, Joe.
Okay.
Yep.
At least they've been notified when they have they can choose to go or not, so.
They can say, I wasn't.
We'll do it at 6 o'clock.
Okay, sounds good.
And Mark and Kevin, could I ask, I didn't get the addresses, could you give me those other, I'd like to go see some of these other projects that have been done that are WIDA projects.
You too.
And could you remind me again the one that you've done? And then I don't know if I caught it, but Meridian, the management company, if they manage any of those, that's of importance to me, because I'd like to establish some level of professionalism, you know, the properties that they've had. It'd be great to see one that's been 12 years, that they've been managing for 12 years, and the character of it and how it's been upkept.
Right across from where the parking lot would be.
Are you careful?
And I have one more question, because it may be pertinent to this. I'm actually a scientist, very important to me. Commercial use, have you done a phase 1 ESA?
Looks like gun smoke.
Not this team, but when they did this project
I
here,
know, I don't.
we carried over onto that property because it was the same owner that donated the property.
Okay.
So that has, I mean, 6 or 7 years ago when that was done, I need to check and see if that has to be redone
Yep.
because of a qualification standpoint. But I know at the beginning that was done. you know.
Okay. I was just concerned if you're putting families there, if it used to be agriculture, so herbicides, pesticides, drainage, it all goes down to our wetland.
Yeah, the lender will require it.
You know,
Okay.
we've been stung so badly by those apartments down in the hole. That's why we're just overly cautious.
Understandable.
We can't see.
Understandable, that's why it's so
Understandable, yeah.
important for you all to understand, and like Hilton said, go visit what a section 42 project is. You've got 3 wonderful projects within 5 minutes of this property. And we'll get you a whole list if you want, even some that are beyond here, east of here. There's some in Sun Prairie, they're attractive,
You'd never know.
you never know.
I was shocked when we looked at the comps, the comparable.
Can I ask, so a lot of these things have dealt with the overall unit itself. And if we were to make an assumption that this is going to go through, I think I noticed that most of us didn't like the aesthetic look of it. And is there room to work with that, or is this done and the architecture is set on this in stone? And that goes along with, if it's going to be here and going to be this density, there is a character to the style of houses. We love CareNet because of how it looks. It looks like a big house. It fits right in.
Yeah, you know, that's the professional opinion of a professional architect that has a wonderful reputation. And it's sort of like Frank Lloyd Wright, not everybody liked him. He had his nose broken twice because he just didn't get along with people, but he designed a lot of wonderful structures.
Mhm.
People didn't all agree with it, but, you know, to this day, a lot of people do love it. So, I personally, I think contemporary design is a lot different than traditional, but some people don't like traditional and they love contemporary. And I point to Heather because the city really has an emphasis on a lot of contemporary architecture. Not that this is the leading aspect of that.
Mhm.
You know, it's the driving force between the creativity of the architects.
Yep.
And the space needs of the people that will
Yeah,
live
and
there.
that's outside of the whole conditional use. That's
Yeah.
just talking with you
Yeah.
to wonder if there's the
Right.
capability to work with the community to make something that we feel is more maybe aesthetically pleasing,
The
rather
plan
than an
commission
architect.
can look at design, but typically they, you know, for a request like this, the land use question is probably the most pertinent.
Yes, definitely.
You know, but if there are design details that would make it more palatable, then the plan commission, you know, seeing under the conditional use process can make decisions based on those.
I've got more that are important, so I'm just gonna try and, I'm gonna try and keep you guys
We're
if
gonna-
I
We're gonna
can.
wrap up in a couple minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I think I can rattle a few off real quick that
Thanks,
are
Heather.
important to me.
Thanks, Heather.
And this might be CareNet specific. So with the socioeconomic status of the individuals that are here and trying to get them to progress into, society more, are there counseling and job training and other opportunities in our area that would help these people out?
Yes, I just had a wonderful meeting with the CEO from Community Living Alliance. I'm embarrassed to say, we've been here this long, and
Yeah, they have job training and special needs training and,
yes, and caregiving, which is what historically several of our residents have gone into, is the caring professions.
okay.
And so that to me was just such a wonderful discovery. I had no idea that they employed over 1,000 people out in the field.
And they died on sycamore. And they all died on sycamore.
Anything else, Mark?
Yeah,
or-
no, it's okay.
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 Can I come over and see the